Hello, hello. Welcome, presenters. I think we're waiting for a few more people here.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to connect. I think I'm gonna reach out to a couple other people, make sure we're all in the right place. I know Tarina's gonna join a little bit later, so
Okay.
make that work. Do you go by Jonathan or John? I've seen them both. Jonathan, all right. Working on my lip reading over here. I think I got you though.
Yeah, sorry about that.
All good, it's all good. Jonathan, cool. I'm not sure we ever like directly connected, but it's good to directly connect with you. I get to hear a little bit about what y'all do through Dana mostly.
Yeah, for sure, no worries. I'm excited.
Cool. Well, I have you know what I'm actually gonna do? It looks like, hey Miss Sue. It looks like, John, that you're able to unmute and mute on your own. So that's good news. What I might do is make it so that people cannot unmute themselves, but then I'm going to use air quotes here, elevate y'all to co-host so that you do have that permission. And that way we're not dealing with like a lot of people entering and muting themselves, babies crying in the background, whatever it might be. Good. And then you let me know if there's anyone else that'll probably be joining our prep session here that I should also bring up to
I'm not sure if Sam is getting
Sam's
on.
coming.
Okay.
Sam Collins, he is getting on.
all right, let me know. You might see something right now. I'm gonna make Miss Sue a co-host, so that maybe showed up on your end. And then Jonathan, let me do the same for you. So you should be able to, everyone else probably won't be able to unmute and mute, but y'all have that now. Cool. All right, I got kind of like a pretty intense laundry list of Zoom tasks I have to do, but we're just gonna kind of get settled over these next 10 or 15 minutes. I think Dana is closing out that last session. Did y'all have an opportunity to see the new deal for youth panel?
I didn't.
Oh, all right. Well, maybe I think it should be recorded, so it'll be a good session to go back and revisit. There's a lot of really powerful policy recommendations coming directly from young people, a lot of whom have lived experience with mental health challenges, trauma, all over the country. It's really cool.
Can you hear my background noise?
Just you.
Okay, good. Yeah, Jonathan, I wish I had understood and I could have gotten those images earlier. That would have helped to tell the story.
I got like 7 more.
Okay.
Oh, and I think y'all were in an email, so I think it'll work okay if I share the video and y'all are just talking over it. I think that'll be a powerful experience for folks to see the content and just hear you kind of narrating. Is that sort of what you're thinking?
No, there is some narration in the beginning, right?
Yeah, there is a
Right.
little bit at the beginning. Maybe I'll say maybe the first 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah, and I believe Dana was gonna, like, she's prompting, she has some prompt questions, right? Or she's gonna guide the conversation.
Yeah, that may be it. That may be it.
Should I go ahead and admit Sam?
Yeah, good eyes. Thanks, Jonathan. All right, we're going to use this as a little bit of a test too, because I think Sam will come in. Sam probably can't unmute. Sam, are you able to unmute yourself? No. All right, so I'm gonna make you a co-host, Sam. Maybe try again.
Yes.
Good deal. All right. Thank you for joining, Sam. My name's Will. I work with Prevention Institute. I'm sorely disappointed I have not gotten to connect more with you all and your project and the work that you do. But about a year ago, Tarina and I were having some good discussions, and I know there's some really powerful work happening in Galveston. So I'm glad to be a fly on the wall for this conversation, mostly here for the Zoom support right now.
Sue, I'm about to email you.
Okay, thanks.
And Jonathan, there will be probably more and more people coming into the waiting room. If you see someone in there that you know is a part of this session, we can let them in.
Well, can I let this one out?
Oh,
Pauline, sorry, got the memo late.
oh, all good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take charge in letting people in just so y'all can really focus on your content, focus on your talking points, just being your charming selves. And so Dana will probably introduce y'all and then cue me up to play the video, and I'll just go with the flow of whatever works.
And I'll follow Sue and Sam's lead and Tarina's lead. They're more the experts. I'm more of just a figurehead, bring this to you guys.
Cool. Everyone's got an important role to play, it sounds like.
So would it be possible? I know you wanted it in advance, but if I could share my screen?
Oh yeah, I think that's totally fine. You have some images or a PowerPoint or something you wanted to share?
Yes.
Yeah, I think as long as you're comfortable, kind of like, I'm not gonna say seamless, but like making that transition comfortably, I think we could do anything.
And so if you need me to do it, Sue, I can do it on my end too.
Thank you, that would be great. But what I want to do is rearrange those images so that they just a little bit, because they're not flowing in the way I discuss them.
Okay. Did you want to do that?
Yeah, I would like to, how can I do that though? Can I do that?
So if you bring it up in PowerPoint and you have the slides on the side, you can just drag them into place.
Yeah, but did the file go over? It wasn't too big?
I already put them in PowerPoint for you. And now all you got to do is change the slides.
Did you email them to me?
Yeah, I emailed them.
Okay.
Yeah.
54 at Hotmail?
Um, yes. It just said it didn't deliver. Let me try it again.
Yeah, we're saying, I think Tarina's presenting for some other conference right now also.
Oh, I'm not sure.
I think it's like a double header or something.
All right, I sent it again, Sue.
Okay.
Oh, it says it's too large to send.
Yeah, okay. So if we got a second, if we could share a screen, I can tell you where I'm,
All
it's
right, hold
it's a
on.
little,
You want me to share my screen?
yeah, with the, if we got a minute that you can look at the slides and just move them around.
Okay. All right. 1 second.
It will take 2 minutes. If it takes too long, if it doesn't work out, we'll abandon.
Okay.
But I think it adds a lot to,
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
okay. The ones that should come first
Mhm.
are the ones with the kids doing art. Those. And those are next, yeah.
Okay. Let me see.
Yeah.
See if I can move you up. So,
And then past that.
so this is one.
I'm thinking maybe that one, that's the only picture of the mural we got. Maybe that one should be absolutely first. Okay. And then those are, oh, I don't have any. Okay, go on. Network mixer, okay. And the one with the food, you can take that out.
Delete this one.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Sorry, I was moderating the last session. Probably not smart for them to let me do 2 back to back, but calm down, breathe. How can we help?
Here, you're where you need to be, Dana. Thank you.
You've been holding it down, Will. Thank you.
I mean, I've just been holding it down by being present right here. Miss Sue and Jonathan are taking care of business, rearranging some photos that look just
Okay.
stunning. I got the video downloaded and pulled up.
Okay, and did
so-
we decide that we're gonna play the video with the music and then ask questions afterwards, or how did y'all want to do that?
I believe after the first 3 or 4 minutes, Sue and Sam will kind of speak over the video where they
Okay.
see fit, and Sue will have a slideshow after that that's available.
Okay, and so that means, Will, are you muting the music? Is that how that's gonna work? Or they'll be talking over the music?
No, I can. Well, Miss Sue, what do you think? Do you want me to
Can-
turn the
can-
music down?
can you-
turn the
can
music
you-
off?
Either turn it down or off if you don't think we'll be clear.
Okay, could can I maybe test that and we'll see what a good volume is?
Sure.
All right. Jonathan, are you still rearranging photos?
I'll go ahead and stop. I'll go ahead and stop.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and just to remind folks, I'll probably let people in from the waiting room in the next 2 minutes, I'll say. So this is what it'll look like with the video. Can y'all see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then, so maybe like somewhere around here. This is the normal volume.
Should I speak?
I think after we go into like in a few seconds, we'll actually be inside, and then you'll have stuff to talk about because right now we're just walking in. So, but as soon as we go in, she starts showing everything.
Okay, so what do you think, Jonathan? Should I turn the sound down a little bit?
Like starting now, like as soon as we open the door, you can start shutting the sound down because now you can see stuff. Unless you want to talk about the streets, Sue, I don't know. Okay, so yeah, as soon as they enter the door, so I guess
Unless Sam, you want to talk about the street? I don't. Okay.
So at like 3:40 is when it's stuff to be seen.
Okay, and so at 3:40,
you can turn the music down and they'll take over.
Okay, so I'll maybe do it like halfway or all the way.
Sue, what do you think?
That's all the way. Now you want to play a little bit of sound and see if you can still hear me clearly. Okay, this is the Juneteenth Legacy Project headquarters, and this space provides us many opportunities within the community for the cultural and artistic expression and participation of the community.
I think I could hear you pretty well, Miss Sue. Cool. So I'll plan right around 3:40. Miss Sue, you just come in whenever you're comfortable, and I'll just do my best impression of a DJ and start to turn it down a little bit so you can come and do your thing.
Well, I wanted to, Dana, did you have questions? I was kind of wondering.
Yes, I do. Let me get them out right now. I'm shuffling through my different workshops I'm working on. I do have some questions after you all are done, and then we'll also, yeah.
And wait a minute, what at this point though, could Sam talk about this, and then maybe my questions, my little slides and stuff will correspond, hopefully, with the questions she asked.
So I don't know if you saw the email Tarina and I were communicating back and forth during the night when
Right.
I have those questions. So one is about Sam giving more background. You, Ms. Sue, asking about how your organization became the fiscal sponsor, unless there's something else you want me to ask. And then I guess this would be for Jonathan. How's the space being used in Galveston, and what is ongoing impact with the community? And then is Tarina on?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. And so if she makes it on, I have a question for her.
I think she's gonna join at noon is what I remember hearing.
Yeah.
And so y'all, just another thing to keep in mind, when we go live in the next probably minute, I'm gonna have a spotlight on Dana and we can all turn our videos off. And then once you're gonna come on to speak, you can turn your video on and I'll put the spotlight on you also. It's your images are up on the screen with the other speakers.
Okay, Sam, are you comfortable with starting the video from the tour inside?
Yes.
Okay.
And did y'all make adjustments on the time? The runner show had 11:40 and 11:58. We probably, we're going to start speaking right after the first 4 minutes. So we're actually going to start speaking at 11:45. So that's going to give us more time for Q&A.
Yeah, no worries.
I think that's right. Yeah. So Dana, should I go ahead and let people in and you'll start the sort of moderator script?
In a second. Well, can I ask your help with something? Because I found this a little challenging because of the way I have my screens up.
Yeah, for sure.
You have the links to the documents, the sign-in sheet and the CEU sheet that you could drop in the chat. I can try to do it.
Yeah, I'll pull that up. And so I will be able to take care of that as you're starting the
Yeah, thank you. Now I see why they had a fourth person. I mean, I could do it, but
no, I got it right here in front of me. It's all good.
thank you. And will you do the evaluation one when at the end?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Will. I'm excited.
Dana, you look beautiful.
Miss Sue, you are too sweet. My nerves are bad, but I appreciate that. I'm excited for this workshop, Sam, Jonathan, and Miss Sue. Toby, I guess, is in school, not able to make it.
Right.
But yeah, I think this is really, a lot of people were interested in this. We have a whole arts, there's a theme in the conference around the importance of arts in health. And so this workshop really ties to that very nicely. If there are things you all want to share with us, I think we posted the links you shared, Ms. Sue, like the articles that were done. We linked those to the session so people can see those. But if there are other things you all would like us to add to the community section, we're able to do that if you email them to me.
So it looks like our waiting room is kind of going up and down, and I'm wondering if people are clicking on it, seeing that there's not a video, and then
Well, I put a note in the chat to let them know we would be opening shortly. So if you want to, we can.
All right, so I think we can go for it. Jonathan and Ms. Sue, I think we can mute ourselves and turn our videos off, and Dana will kick us off. Here we go, Dana. I'll let everyone in.
Thanks, Will. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome again. If you're joining this session, you get me again as the moderator. My name is Dana Fields-Johnson. I'm with Prevention Institute, and I'm your moderator for this workshop. And so excited for our group of partners from Galveston Island and what they're going to share with us here today. Shortly, we'll start our workshop, Juneteenth Legacy Project, Art in Action. While we wait for more people to join us, let's get to know each other a little bit better. So I'm going to ask you all just to drop in the chat. What types of arts do you engage in? And that could be that you perform yourself or do yourself, or it could be ones that you are a fan or lover of. What types of arts do you love and or participate in? Good morning. Good morning, Linda. Thanks for joining. You can drop that right in the chat. Not seeing any chat. Come on, show us some love. Let us know what types of art you love and participate in. Well, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Is that, oh, I think I got some stuff. Okay, Will loves making music, collages, and watercolors. I didn't know we had an audience. Linda says she engages in line dancing and loves the Miller Outdoor Theater events in Houston. Thank you, Linda. Thanks for sharing that. One of our team members in Zynga, you'll have to hit her up, message her. She is a line dance teacher and loves and really believes in line dance and how it can keep us healthy and healing. Christine loves dancing, writing, and reading, and Christine is a fabulous dancer. Don't be shy if you want to tell us about what forms of art you love and participate in. Nene, I hope I said your name correctly, and forgive me if I didn't. Nene loves painting, sewing, and singing. Oh, love it, love that. We know arts is healing and important to us, and we're just so excited to hear more about how arts has contributed to the community on Galveston Island. Thank you all for sharing those things in the chat. You can keep sharing what forms of art you love and participate in if you haven't already done so. I'm going to move forward with some housekeeping items again, and you'll be hearing these throughout the day. And we appreciate you for being patient with us. This is a safe and supportive space. Please help us maintain a respectful and inclusive environment. Please mute yourself at all times. Please also use the chat function in Whova, like some of you just did, to interact with other attendees and with our panelists. We want you to share your questions in the Q&A function in Whova. At the end of the session, we'll, after they've spoken, we'll have some time for Q&A. We have a couple of forms for you to fill out. Our Zoom tech Will is going to jot those in the chat for you. It's a general sign-in sheet. If you'll take a few moments to fill that out for the workshop. If you're wanting CEUs, if you register for continuing education credits, you'll also have to complete the CEU form, which will also be in the chat. At the end of the workshop, we'll share a workshop evaluation for your feedback, and want to make sure we are continuing to improve our offerings through Young Minds Matter, and your feedback will help us do that. Please join me in welcoming our presenters, and I'm going to just share a little bit about each one of them. Sam Collins is a Galveston resident and native who is deeply rooted in the community. He is an astute business broker who resides with his family at Stringfellow Orchards, a historical Victorian estate on the outskirts of Galveston. He serves on the boards for the National Trust for Historic Preservation, Texas Historical Commission, State Board of Review, Galveston Historical Foundation, and the Ruby Bridges Foundation National Board. He is affectionately known as the historian of Juneteenth. Well, we are glad Sam is here with us today. We are also welcoming Sue Johnson. Ms. Sue is the director of the NIA Cultural Center, a Galveston-based community nonprofit focused on education, youth development, family strengthening, and cultural enrichment. She was recently awarded the Mayor's History Maker Award by City of Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner. Sue is a member of the NAACP Galveston chapter, where she helps young people for their future through assistance in applying for scholarships and completing community service projects. Ms. Tarina Harris will be joining us shortly. Tarina is a Galveston resident, mother, and advocate, and she serves as the program director for NIA Cultural Center, promoting educational advocacy, cultural competency, and engaging Black families to support the health and well-being of children and youth. Tarina has done work addressing the social determinants of health and has a background in offender education, teaching anger management, and drug and alcohol awareness through Freedom Education Center. Tarina currently serves as the poet in residence at Galveston Central Church and is on the board of Vision Galveston. Jonathan Warren is also one of our presenters for this workshop. Jonathan is a former attorney and school liaison and is the Communities of Care co-coordinator for The Future Is Us. He is passionate about achieving equality and equity for underrepresented students. Through work with collaborative partners, he hopes to change and implement policies and practices that will reduce classroom inequities, specifically school disciplinary inequities. And last but certainly not least, Toby Agnew is one of the youth advocates on Galveston Island and with the Future Is Us Collaborative. He is an active member of their Youth Advisory Council. Toby is not with us today, but he is featured in some of the videos you will be seeing. Now let us enjoy the presentation. We'll be back together again after for live Q&A with the presenters.
My name is Trina. I'm going to be your host, narrator, all that good stuff.
My name is Samuel Collins III, and I'm the co-chair of the Juneteenth Legacy Project Committee.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Warren, and I'm the co-coordinator for The Future Is Us. Hello, my name is Toby Evans, and I'm a junior at Ball High School, and I'm one of the youth lead advocates at the Future is Us.
I'm standing here in the Neocultural Center, Juneteenth Legacy Project, headquarters in Galveston, Texas. The art gallery was open Memorial Day weekend, where we showcased the history of African Americans here in Texas and America. We welcome you to visit the gallery to learn this history. Last year in 2020, Juneteenth became very popular, but Juneteenth has always been important to the former enslaved people and the descendants. See, here in Galveston, on the southwest corner of 22nd and Strand, is where Gordon Granger came with thousands of US soldiers to bring the message of freedom. The gallery here helps to expand the narrative around that history. From the Africans that were brought to these shores in the Galveston Bay, auctioned on the north side of the Strand, at John Seabrook Sidner's auction house, and many other auction houses here in Galveston. In addition to the visual arts, we also have books and information that we share with individuals as they visit the space. When the soldiers came here in 1865, they arrived with weapons. But our weapons of mass destruction today are books and information. These books are not books that you would normally see on a reading list from your public schools. But these are important books that share information from primary source documents that teach us the real history and the true history. Maya Angelou has a great quote: "History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again." But we're learning from that history to inspire the present in hopes of a better future. So as visitors come into this space, they will be exposed to the art and also the books that teach this history. So we want to invite you here to Galveston, Texas, to learn this history so that you can get an expanded narrative of our shared history in these spaces. Here in the art gallery, you will see artists Ted Ellis, Chase Sampe, Earl Jones, Eddie Fowler, Matthew John Batiste, Dantrell Boone, and others. See, these artists capture our American history. Most of the art here is by artist Ted Ellis from New Orleans. Ted has done a wonderful job of telling the Juneteenth story from the first non-native enslaved individual to arrive here, Eston Ben Nico, in 1528 to present and current events today.
I think one of the presenters is going to begin narrating us.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. This is Samuel Collins III, CTA, Certified Tourism Ambassador here in Galveston, co-chair of the Juneteenth Legacy Project Committee, and also the president of the Juneteenth Legacy Project. One of the things that I do want to point out is our partnership with the Neocultural Center was very intentional. Tarina Harris made the suggestion at the initial organization of the Juneteenth Legacy Project that we should take this opportunity to partner with an existing nonprofit that was led by a minority individual and that had been working in the community for decades. What is happening because of the interest in social justice, racial equity, and this work that we're doing in the community, there are a lot of new organizations being formed. And the one thing that we saw was the benefit of dovetailing this opportunity to do the work with an existing organization that needed support to build out capacity and support of existing programs that they have been working with for years, like Freedom School and other programs with youth to build self-esteem and improve lives here on the island. So I am thankful for the opportunity to work with Ms. Sue Johnson, the executive director, the staff at the Neocultural Center, and those volunteers that have been here for basically 3 decades, since the early 90s, to do this work. The Juneteenth Legacy Project was formed with an initiative to complete the Absolute Equality Mural, but the art exhibit that you are viewing was not started just this year. The painting there, Free at Last Behind Sue, that you see of the man with his hand across the chest, was actually done June 17, 2006, at one of the very first Juneteenth events we had at Stringfellow Orchards in Hitchcock, which is outside of Galveston on the mainland. But that is where Mr. Ellis began this journey of this Juneteenth traveling art exhibit. Mr. Ellis has a quote, "Art speaks. Art says nothing, but says everything." And how we see ourselves in imagery in the art translates into how we see ourselves in the spaces that we occupy and that we live. When you look at a Mona Lisa painting that is $600-700 million, or the Card Players painting that sold 10 years ago for over $250 million. Unfortunately, individuals tie value not only to the image, but to the people often too. So therefore, you get culturally conditioned to see value in certain individuals, certain neighborhoods and communities, and not to see value in others. So one of the goals of the art exhibit is to help individuals have pride and see value in themselves, in the images of themselves. Too often, we are portrayed just in negative lights in various media forms or imagery. So it's very important that individuals see family, they see homes, they see structure, they see life, joy. We don't celebrate enough joy, but we also take very seriously to the work to tell the truth. So you will see some homes here that show life around those homes, but you also see current events. You see politicians, you see community activists, Rosa Parks, Barbara Jordan, Dr. King, Maya Angelou, poets. So you get a various imagery of individuals in various positions, not just politicians, not just athletes, but the whole community. You see religious aspects, you see artists, you see poets, you see activists. We have the wood carving there by Earl Jones. You have current events. You saw Colin Kaepernick in the back, Breonna Taylor imagery, civil rights imagery. So all of this helps to make us more of a community. It takes an entire village to raise a child. So the art exhibit hopes to accomplish that by showing life outside of not just Juneteenth. While Juneteenth is important, it's just the tip of the iceberg. The southwest corner of 22nd and Strand, where the Absolute Equality mural is on the outside of the building, is just the icing on the cake. So inside this cake, there's normally flowers, sugar, and eggs. But inside this cake, we have so much more when you dive inside the art exhibit that makes up this history and life in America and this journey of freedom. So here we have the imagery of the Absolute Equality mural, which has portals of major events from Esteban, who was first shipwrecked in Galveston in 1528, in November of 1528. So we're approaching almost 500 years of this work. Dr. King has a quote that I'd like to share from his book, Strength to Love, that philanthropy is commendable, but it should not cause the philanthropists to overlook the circumstances of economic injustice which make philanthropy necessary. Meaning that the economic injustice that still exists today causes much of the mental anguish of individuals not being able to reach their full potential and not being able to become their very best version of themselves. So we are hoping by establishing galleries and spaces like this and putting on display positive imagery. So it's not just talking about slavery and the dark past, which we do need to teach that history. But as Maya Angelou says, having the courage, we need to face it with courage so it need not be repeated. So we have positive images of George T. Ruby, who was a state senator elected here in Galveston in 1869. Frederick Douglass, the greatest orator of the 19th century. We have positive imagery of children. We've done a youth art auction where they used to auction people across the street, and we talk about that history on the north side of the Strand. We've had a youth auction where we allowed the children to auction their art with a minimum opening bid of $100. The highest bid we received for one of the kids was $250. Prior to that, that student had only sold a painting for $50. So they're learning to value their work. They're learning that they can speak through their art, and they left very empowered that they were able to make a difference. So I know there's going to be question and answer period. I just wanted to have a short introduction of the work that we're doing here and to emphasize that we, the Juneteenth Legacy Project organization and committee, were thankful to have the opportunity, and it is very important that new organizations look for opportunities to work with existing nonprofit organizations in communities that are already doing this existing work and to be supportive of their work. So I'm very supportive of Ms. Sue Johnson and her staff, and anything that I can do to help, I want to do that. So I think Sue had some photos she wanted to go over next, and then we'll go into the Q&A.
You ready for me to share, Ms. Sue?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to be a part of the Young Minds Matter conference this year. It's been 2 years since we've embarked on this journey with this project, and it has been a grand learning experience for me and an opportunity for Nia Cultural Center to be a part of the collaborative that helps to promote health equity. So I want to first just start by just showing you some of what happens at the gallery. The Juneteenth Legacy Project has provided many opportunities within the community for cultural and artistic expression and participation by the whole community. The images that you see here are first an image of a spring break art workshop that was conducted by Reginald Adams, the artist of the mural, and the creatives who painted the Juneteenth mural. These are youth from the community who are learning about art and who are already artists, some of them. There are also pictures from the art camp that was held by the artist Ted Ellis, whose art is prominently displayed throughout the gallery. And these youth were very fortunate because they were able to take their art to Maryland, to a library in Maryland, to show it there. Now these images start at the Galveston's own farmers market, which is a community art, kind of public art opportunity where the community could engage in contributing to the mural by creating images that would then be placed on the wall on the mural itself. So everyone in the community who participated had an opportunity to contribute to the mural. These are images of young people whose art did end up in a library in Maryland, thanks to Ted Ellis, the artist who is with the Commission for the Arts. These are images of the art walk, which are monthly art exhibition opportunities throughout downtown Galveston. We incorporate not only the visual arts, but also the musical arts. Here is John Cooks, who is providing music at the art auction through his piano. And some of the people who come through and learn about the history of Juneteenth and learn about Galveston. There's also wood carving art by Mr. Jones here, whose art was also, he designed a mural for the 50th anniversary of the Little Rock 9, the Little Rock 9 Central High School. We had a networking mixer that we featured the artists who designed the mural and painted the mural, and Naomi Carrier, who is the founder and executive director of the Texas Center for African American Living History. This is the National Miss Juneteenth, who came to Galveston with Miss Opal Lee, who's now iconic in terms of her work for promoting Juneteenth as a national holiday. Miss Opal Lee was at the signing of the bill that made Juneteenth a national holiday. This is Mr. Collins congratulating one of the youth artists whose art went to Maryland and is exhibited in the library there. That's Miss Opal Lee, along with other Juneteenth celebrants who Sam Collins brought down to Galveston. These are more pictures of Ted Ellis working with the youth artists who he guided through helping them to design and just express themselves through art. I was very inspired and just really blown away by these kids who are just ordinary kids who have extraordinary talents that no one knew about until we did this workshop. Some of them were, novices at art, and some of them were more experienced, but their self-esteem has truly been boosted knowing that their art has been featured in another place in this country besides Galveston. The other thing that we did this summer in using the space was the art of spoken word. When our very own Tarina Harris organized the Absolute spoken word event at the center, along with Miss Chase Sampy, whose piece was the central piece of the Juneteenth Legacy, the Absolute Equality mural. She painted the US colored troops who were pivotal in the Juneteenth story. That's Miss Sampy with visitors to the exhibit. We also wanted to be sure that the youth understood the business side of art. Mr. Collins was very intentional about making sure that the kids understood, yeah, you're talented, you're a great artist, but you're also embarking on something that could be financially lucrative to you. So he organized the youth art auction and ice cream social, where the kids were able to auction off their art for financial gain. They were thrilled. This is just a picture of Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman from here in Texas, who was speaking at the Juneteenth event the day after, I believe it was just the day after Juneteenth was made a national holiday. She visited the gallery, along with one of the artists who was featured on the evening news, talking about her piece and the the art auction, the youth art auction. This is Mr. Collins, and showing the wall. Sam will tell you more about this piece, but these are the walls of the building that the art gallery is located in. These bricks depict the original building that was built by African Americans, enslaved people, and he's showing that their fingerprints are all over this building. And Tarina at the poetry night, the Absolute Equality Poetry Night, along with other artists. We're very proud of our young people, but what we want to make sure of is that we help to promote health equity, and we're able to do that by helping others to understand and account for the historical forces that have left a legacy of racism and segregation, as well as structural and institutional factors. This exhibition of art also helps us to recognize the role of privilege in contributing to inequity and health outcomes. And it tells the history of the policies that have extended privileges to some at the expense of others. We use public art projects such as the Galveston Zone Farmers Market to allow for public participation and to build the capacity of the residents to engage. We hope also to use this space to provide ongoing activities for youth and adults focused on the mural's message. We'll continue to employ creative and innovative means of adequately telling the story of the genesis and the historical and contemporary relevance and legacy of Juneteenth. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel, Sue, and Jonathan. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to take a few moments to answer questions from the audience, and there were a few questions in the Q&A coming up as you all were narrating and speaking. I think we have a few now. Sam, this first one is for you. You talked about giving young people the opportunity to sell their art. What recommendations do you have for creating sustainable pathways for young people to become artist activists?
Well, I think the thing about it is to make sure that young people understand the power to allow their work to speak to the moment. So, you know, my kids, when they were younger, I used to make them write guest columns in the paper. They were not artists. But for artists, a paintbrush is the way that they express their words and message. And they can capture real-time events in the moment and historically document what's happening. And they are keepers of the history also. So it's not just the textbooks, because individuals learn differently. And those that visit the gallery, 10 people could look at a painting and get 10 different messages from it because they see different things in it. I don't know how many times someone has pointed out something in a painting that I missed that was very important to them or that they saw from their perspective. So for the students, art is a universal language, right? So there's no barriers to, oh, I couldn't interpret it, because you interpret it how you see it. So they can use that. And they need to have consistent programming. So we're hoping to have an art auction every 3 months. And in communities, individuals should look for those opportunities, if you can't do it as frequent as every 3 months, to give the youth spaces to showcase their work and to feel good about their work, not to be critical of them, not to say that they can't be instructed to improve. That's not what I'm saying. But at the same time, we need to give them space to express themselves in the manner that they want to express themselves. If someone could tack up a banana to the wall and get $10,000 or $20,000, we could help these kids do something with the power of their work. The yellow and blue painting by Rothko sold for $46.5 million, and it's simply 2 colors, yellow and blue. And we learned in kindergarten that yellow and blue make green, but I never knew it made that much green. I would have started painting instead of taking all those accounting classes. But anyway, next question.
Thank you. I think that just wasn't my gift, but so much of what you said was so important, that art speaks. I think I heard you say that in the video or as you were narrating, and artists are keepers of and are able to document history. And it is a business, it is a gift and talent that young people can be compensated for. I remember back in the day, they used to call people starving artists, but art is truly remarkable. And I've seen some remarkable young artists that are being paid for their talents. Next question. And this is for Sue or Sam or Jonathan. What was the most, and this is probably for Sue or Samuel, what was the most challenging part of bringing the Juneteenth Legacy Project to Galveston?
I think that's a Sam question.
Okay, no worries, Ms. Sue.
Well, the one challenge, the work has always been important. And as I said in the video, Juneteenth became popular in 2020. So what has happened is now, because of the economic benefits that are being offered, people are coming from all different directions. And the challenge is to be true to the history and to also honor those that have done the work. As I stated, Mr. Ellis started this journey over 15 years ago. He's taken this exhibit all over the country. And with regards to getting a major project like this, one of the things that is challenging is always funding. So we had to get the power structure of Galveston Island to kind of co-sign on the importance of doing this work. So once we were able to get the property owners to agree to put a mural on the side of the building, we get approved through the Landmark Commission. So there are hurdles and barriers and steps that you have to go through to get it approved. So the Landmark Commission approved it. And then the fundraising began, and we were able to raise $500,000 in about 6 to 7 months. Once they felt that it was an acceptable project. So the other challenge for artists is sometimes you're going to have to paint and speak to things that are not very popular, but it's very important to our community and culture, because some art is more readily acceptable because it's easily to take in, where art that challenges you and challenges the power structure is not always as welcoming. But I encourage the young people to stay true to the message of speaking truth to power, and your gift will make room for you. I read that in a book somewhere. I won't get too deep into that, but your gift will make room for you. So I believe that the doors of opportunity will open. And while you may not always reap a financial benefit, if the artist can sleep at night and look in the mirror and know they did their best work and have peace of mind, that is more important. So the challenge was financial, getting the partnership with the property owners, because one of the things with economic injustice is that we don't always control institutions or buildings. Therefore, we don't get permission to do the work that needs to be done. So that's why Dr. King's quote is so strong with regards to philanthropists and philanthropy. While it's commendable, we must not overlook the economic injustice that causes philanthropy to be necessary. So, that's a message that a drumbeat that I'm going to continue to hammer until we can get a more equitable society that celebrates the contributions of everyone and helps to strengthen the minds of those that are facing these challenges of being underappreciated and often ignored. So,
Yeah, thank you so much, Sam. And we know that economic injustice, you mentioned, causes mental anguish and prevents people from being the best version of themselves. And a lot of what this conference is about is understanding those things that challenge mental well-being in communities. And there's so much intersection between that and this discussion about the importance of art as a part of the Juneteenth Legacy Project, and improving those community conditions for Galveston Island. Ms. Sue, I want to draw you into the conversation. Can you please share a little bit with us about how NIA Cultural Center got involved in this? I know we heard a little bit about Tarina's role in that, and folks are in the chat just talking about how wonderful your organization is and how thankful they are for it. Tell us a little bit about NIA Cultural Center's involvement.
Thank you for whoever is expressing those very
Miss Pauline Jenkins.
Oh, okay. Pauline's part of the NIA Cultural Center, so she knows our work. So thank you, Pauline. And I also want to just say that the way that we got involved is because we've had such a long journey in Galveston with programming that affects African-American children and families. We got started back in the early 90s when there was an epidemic of youth violence across the country that didn't leave Galveston out. We were heavily impacted. And there was also at the time a great preservation movement of historical preservation of the island. At the same time, monuments to our history had been and were actively being demolished. So there was little left. We began programming that included the arts, but when it was mentioned that Sam Collins was embarking upon this mural project, the Juneteenth Legacy Project was not a nonprofit. They were not a 501c3 organization, and they needed a fiscal sponsor. So it was Tarina who, when they came to another organization requesting that they be the fiscal sponsor, she said, well, why are we here with this group of people, mostly white people, when there's an organization who has done this work for decades in the community? And thus we're here. We were asked to be the fiscal sponsor, and we very happily accepted.
Well, you are doing amazing work, you and your staff at the Nia Cultural Center and volunteers, Ms. Sue. They are involved in the Communities of Care initiative, and we are so fortunate to have you as a part of that and learn from you. Ms. Sue has been in the trenches a long time for her community. So I think I want to ask Tarina a question. Tarina, tell us about the commodification of Black life and what that means and how it connects to the Juneteenth Legacy Project and the gallery.
Yeah, so a lot of, as Sam has mentioned, with like economic justice and our youth art auction, and looking at really specifically like where our gallery is placed and like the historic context of that location being like right across the street from where Black bodies were sold. And especially when we're looking into some of the barriers that were presented to the project early on about who has, you know, decision-making power over this building, or, you know, who we have to jump through hoops to, not jump through hoops necessarily, but who has to sign off on these things. When the history of Galveston was built on, you know, built by a lot of Black bodies. And so when we look at like the value versus worth, or what things were, what contributions or what recognition like does our community give or is in place in the context of these are the groups that have built these buildings, have, you know, literally put the bricks into these walls. But those are not the groups that necessarily are getting are as heard, or, you know, she's very vocal. And when it comes to things like preserving that history or talking about this history, like it's worth interrogating. And so something that I really appreciate about the gallery and the fact that, you know, all of the art is for sale, that, you know, it's not just these things that are aesthetically pleasing, but that like there is this like circling back to instead of the Black experience being sold for labor, Black experience is being sold for reflection, for education, for affirmation that like we exist, we're very much here, and our history is being valued in a way that it wasn't or historically hasn't been. And so that's something I really appreciated to encounter and really like navigate and sit with throughout this project.
Sounds like we have other young people who value it. We have a young person who values what her mommy is saying. And Jonathan, we definitely want to hear from you. What has all of this meant to you? How is the space being used in Galveston, and what will be its ongoing impact for the community?
Thanks, Dana. First, I just want to say thank you to Tarina, Sue, and Sam. Tarina, for as young as she is like an organizational superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Sue is a community giant, and Sam is an intellectual powerhouse, and all of them give me energy to keep doing what I'm doing. In terms of what we do, The Future Is Us, we're about educational equity and justice, but ultimately it's a fight for racial justice. And in seeking the needs of the community, we found that arts and norms and culture and being and becoming are important to our people in terms of fixing these issues that we're facing. And so with the Juneteenth headquarters, it has become like a cultural center for our people. We have, like Sue mentioned, there are art walks there. Galveston has a very deep and rich art culture. So there's constant exposure to people who normally wouldn't get this information or be in front of this type of art. And so we're spreading the message that way, and that is changing the norms of culture. The civic meetups, I don't know if Sue mentioned, but one of the things we're doing there is having a place to meet up for the community to take care of issues. So a couple weeks ago, we had an event there. Nia had an event. We partnered with them the day before parent-teacher conferences. We had a preparation meeting so parents could come, find out how to advocate for your students, what goes on in that meetings, and how to just get the most out of those meetings. Constantly encouraging our parents to do more and be more involved in their students' education. It's inspirational space. So when Black people enter that space, you feel the energy, you feel that you have started a path towards self-realization. I personally, adhere to the concept of intellectual emancipation from Du Bois. And one of the ways that we are able to do that is to, one, see ourselves represented, but also, like Sam said, really confront true history and interrogate it. And all of these things are made possible through our partnership and through the work that takes place at the Juneteenth headquarters.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And we are getting at time. I just want to salute these giants of Galveston, the heroes and champions for the culture we just heard from, everybody. Thank you, Samuel, Tarina, Sue, Jonathan. And please also thank Toby for us. I think he may be on a panel later today after school. He's representing and valuing education, and he's at school doing his thing, and he'll be with us later today. But thank you all for sharing your knowledge and insights with us, and those really important reflections on how the Juneteenth Legacy Project and art, what they mean for history, what they mean for people and the community there in Galveston, for young people in particular, and most of all, really just uplifting the intersections between arts and culture and mental well-being. Many thanks to all of you who have joined this session today. We want to remind you to please take a few moments to complete the workshop survey that my colleague and partner in crime, Will, is going to drop into the chat for you. Again, it helps us to know how we're doing. Are these the right topics that you want to hear when we're talking about young minds and Young Minds Matter? I am certain that these are folks you want to hear from again in the future, but we want to hear that from you. If you are seeking continuing education credits, remember that you'll need to sign in and fill out the form in the chat. The links again are there for you. And thank you all.
I do have one thing, if I might.
Yeah, sure, Samuel, go ahead. Close this out.
Another thing that happened that initiated this project is last summer, there was a grocery store in a predominantly African-American community, and they painted a mural of Planet of the Apes. And in this mural, of course, the Planet of the Apes theme of tearing the city down and weapons and guns and destructive. It was right in the middle of the summer with some of the uprisings and riots and things. And that disturbed my spirit for several reasons. Number one, young children and young minds were visually seeing this imagery of destruction and anger on a daily basis. And unfortunately, many in the community recognized the talent of the artist and only saw that he depicted the movie in a grand way, but they didn't understand how this darkness can affect your total community. So if a child is sitting in a car staring at that imagery while mom is in the grocery store, that imagery is going into their spirit. And if they have dreams about that night, if they then have confrontation with others, it would likely be more violent than if they saw positive imagery painted in their community. So art speaks in many different ways, and it is very important that we speak up. And that was one of the driving forces that would not allow me to sleep, so to speak, that we had to put more positive images in our community. And that's what drove me to try to do, okay, you got this mural of these Planet of the Apes, I'm gonna find a wall bigger than that. And I'm gonna put more positive images where you can see strength, power, patriotism, love, and even so much more. So it pushed me to be up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, figuring out how do we replace this imagery. And when the owners were confronted about the imagery, They just felt that, hey, the community is not complaining that much. It's just a movie, but it's not just a movie. Movies depict, we talked about superheroes. Black Panther was the #1 movie in the country in 2018. But the thing is, we don't have to believe in Hollywood and make-believe heroes. We have superheroes like Miss Sue Johnson in our community. We have young superheroes like Miss Tarina Harris. We have another superstar, Mr. Jonathan Warren. These are individuals right in our community. And when you speak of the giants, Galveston's giant is Jack Johnson. One of the paintings, or a couple of the paintings in here, speak to the story of Jack Johnson. We have real people from real places with real stories to inspire us to be our real best version of ourselves. So I know we're only going to 12:30, and as y'all can see, I'm a little shy. I might not talk too much, but I'm here when y'all need me. So Galveston forever.
Galveston forever. Are you a minister, Sam? You know,
Ooh,
minister.
how did you know? How did you know that?
Because ministers always talk forever. No, in a good way, in a good way. I grew up in a Baptist church, and yeah, the sermons were not short. I just want to thank you all again. We could listen to this session all day. Will and I were just communicating by chat that this has been an awesome, awesome session and so much energy here. And Sam just says something that really is a great segue to some of the next sessions that are coming up, where we're going to see some powerful film images about mental well-being and about intergenerational collaboration. Before you jump to that, those start at 12:40. So you got a few minutes, go take a bio break, grab a snack, grab some water, and join one of those 2 sessions where we will be showing some films and film clips from 2 really amazing young women. So don't leave, join us. Welcome and thank you, everybody. We're so excited for this session. Thank you, panelists. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. And everybody come visit the gallery when you get a chance.
I can't wait to get there. I'm gonna make sure you tour me around, Sam, and Miss Sue, you too.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you, Tarina. Thank you, little one.
We'll say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. She's my, oh! Oh my goodness. Well, that just made my day, Tarina. Y'all have a great one.
You too.